guys, what's up? Scottish Duck here, once again. Right, you've read the title. Now, a couple of things before we get into this one, because this is a big one for me, okay? Seriously. I want to make this, like, the last top 20 that I do, at least for a while, okay? And I know that probably will not happen, you know, I'll get bored one day and think, how about top 20, which I've not done yet, so... I don't know, I just feel like I'm churning these out a bit too much, so let's slow it down a wee bit. I'm glad that some of you have been enjoying it, but I'm going to put it to rest just for a bit. Just for a bit, okay? Right, and also, right, I really got to talk about this here, okay? The Mega Drive is like a really important console to me, right? And that is in absolutely no small part to these games right here, which probably look quite shite in the frame, but yeah, the Sonic games, okay? These games really, they really mean a lot to me, okay? They are pretty much the reason why I'm into games as much as I am, you know? And I can safely say that they are my favourite, okay? You're probably like, Donald, why didn't you build up to it? Well, in a couple of my videos, like my Dreamcast video, as sort of like a wee gag or whatever, I decided not to put Shenmue at number 1, even though I had a little bit at the end to say, yeah, Shenmue is my favourite, because I didn't like to be predictable. Well, here, I'm not going to be predictable, but that's just because these games really are on like a whole other level to even number 1 that's going to be on this list. Not that number 1 is bad, it's, fuck me, none of these games are bad, these are all excellent games, but that's just the level that I put these ones on. Put it this way, right? The Mega Drive is probably like a top 3 console for me. You know, it's but if it didn't have Sonic, it would still be in the top 10, but like probably a bit low in the top 10. You know, that's just how it is with me. So with that said, let's cut right to it. Number 20 of my favourite Mega Drive games. Okay, now. This one here, I actually bumped this up a fair bit, because I laid out a bunch of my favourite games. I'm like, right, this is here, okay, this is my top 20. But I do this a lot with the first entry in a lot of my lists, okay? I feel like I add some sort of special condition, because while this may not necessarily be number 20, it's a game I really do like, and I just have my own little silly reasons for putting it on here. Toe Jam and Earl. Now, when I was younger, I had Toe Jam and Earl very briefly for the Mega Drive, you know, the second one, Toe Jam and Earl, Trouble in Funkatron. I can never remember the actual subtitle, but Toe Jam and Earl 2. And when I got on the internet, I realised that the game was actually thought kind of negatively by people because it was so different from this, and I was like, well, what the fuck sort of game is this? It's a fucking, like, dungeon crawler. Yeah, it's a really good one. Actually, it feels like you could release this game today, because it's got that sort of like RNG, completely rogue style of gameplay that's like really popular these days. You know, you got like all your survival games that flood Steam and are always like live streamed on Twitch all the time. This game feels like it should just fit right in there, and they're actually making another one, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that'll be interesting to play for sure. And I gotta say, right, the reason why I bumped this up to number 20 is because whenever I sit down to play it, which hasn't been that much, I will admit, I always have like a little tear in my eye. Because it's just the sort of game that makes me wish I had more time, that makes me wish I was younger again, you know? So I could just be like, I could just play it constantly, because it really is the sort of game that eats up a lot of time. That much is definitely said. And Toe Jam and Earl, you know, they're pretty cool characters. Very tood indeed, but very 90s, and yeah, I got a real soft spot for this game in particular, you know, way beyond, because I thought that I liked Toe Jam and Earl 2. Okay, I do like Toe Jam and Earl 2. But I get where the sort of discontent for that game comes from now with this game in my life. So whatever. That's number 20, Toe Jam and Earl. Right. Number 19 we have Talmud's Adventure, or Marvel Land if you live in America. Yeah, this is like a game by Namco for the Mega Drive. and you play as this prince. He goes about an amusement park, he has to save a princess. He gets help from fairies, and you know, his name's Talmot, and I thought Talmot was a chick when I first started playing the game. I don't know, his sprite looks kind of feminine, I don't know. But yeah, other than that, it really is just like a simple platformer through an amusement park, and it's a lot of fun, you know. It's not the most impressive graphically. It almost looks like you could have had it on the Master System. But apparently it was ported right from the arcades, and it just fits that whole like sort of classic Namco feel, right? And there's also like cameos of like, you know, Pac-Man and a whole other mess of stuff in here. And I have one like cool memory in particular, not exactly with this game, but I want to talk about it here, right? This game right here, Project Cross Zone, okay? I was playing it, and for those of you that don't know, this is basically a big fan letter to all Sega, Capcom, and Namco fans out there. And I was just playing it, and this like little gag came up about going to Marvel Land, and I'm like, wait a minute, Marvel Land? And sure enough, you go to Marvel Land, because it's called Marvel Land in America, but the amusement park is called Marvel Land, and the music starts playing, and I was just fucking like, oh my god, it's Talmud's Adventure. It was just such a cool little Easter egg that felt like it was just for me, honestly, right? But yeah, it really was that sort of thing, which is weird because I'm talking about the Mega Drive games and that's a 3DS game, but whatever. I do really like this one, and I think, did I Let's Play this? I think I did. Either way, very fun 2D platformer, and spoiler alert, you're going to see a lot of these, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, that was number 19. Number 18 we have, now, depending on what day you ask me, I may actually say that this is a bad game. I'm sure I've said that to people before, because I did grow up with it, I grew up with it a fair bit, and I could never beat it. To this day, I've never beaten it, but I played a lot of it, so I just have this weird relationship with it. Quackshot, starring Donald Duck. Yes, that's what the full thing is called. Yeah, this is basically you play as Donald Duck, and he's Indiana Jones. You travel the world going through levels. Definitely got a lot of like an adventure game style here. You know, you have to like have a certain item to do a certain thing as you're going through the levels and that. It really is just an adventure. You know, that's really the main thing I could say about it. And you know, when Sega themselves made the sort of like Mickey Mouse and Disney games, there was a lot of Disney on like the Mega Drive, right? And a lot of that was what I played when I was younger, whether it was like film tie-ins or just games starring, you know, Donald Duck or Mickey Mouse. Spoiler alert, there's a few more, well, at least one more coming up. But yeah, this was definitely one that I did play a fair bit. And it is good, okay? Even though I do have that sort of iffiness with it, I'm not gonna lie, it is a good game, okay? And it is one that I will play from time to time. So, Quackshot, yeah, number 18. Right. Number 19, okay, another Namco game here. And, don't have too much to say about this one, I suppose, I just really like it. Pac-Panic. This is basically Pac-Man, but Tetris, okay? The premise of the game is that you got fallen blocks, and the blocks contain either bricks or ghosts, and every few blocks that fall, Pac-Man appears, and you line up Pac-Man with the ghosts, he munches them, and you have to like clear lines Tetris style with the remaining blocks after you've gotten rid of the ghosts. It's a really neat idea, you know? And, you know, if you directly compare it to other puzzle games at the time, like your Tetris's, Columns, Puyo Puyo and all that, it's probably not significantly better in any way. In fact, a lot of ways it may actually be a bit worse, but again, nostalgia kind of prevails here. In fact, I would say that this is my favourite Pac-Man game. That's crazy to think, honestly. But this was kind of how this was my first Pac-Man game, you know, it was how I was introduced to the character. You know, I obviously knew, like, the arcade game, and everybody, like, I remember there was a cartoon on the fucking telly when I was younger, so yeah, I knew who Pac-Man was, but this was how I was introduced to him in the form of gaming, and it was a good one. It was a really good one, I am not gonna lie. So, yeah, Pac-Panic. I like it. And I think it's one of the, I think this was also on the Super Nintendo, because I'm trying to think. I didn't actually consider that, because I wanted this to sort of be like exclusives. A lot of these are exclusives, I know that much. But, well, either way, fuck it. Pack Panic is number 17. Okay. Number 16, we have, right, this was actually a very recent playthrough, this, okay? Let me just read the subtitles so I don't make an arse of myself. This is Landstalker, The Treasures of King Noel. Now, you guys know that when I find a series of games that I sort of like, I have to buy every game in the series, right? That's the OCD, that's the problem that I have, right? And it's not just like, it doesn't like just span franchises, right? If there's an individual who worked on a game and he made a bunch of other games, I typically have to do that too. And the individual who is attached to this game is the late but great Shinya Nishigaki. He was also responsible for one of my favourite Dreamcast games, Blue Stinger, and one of the most frustrating games I've ever played, but still very memorable on the Dreamcast, Ill Bleed. And he also worked on a game for the Saturn called Dark Savior. And this game, it's basically just like, I want to say a Zelda clone, because you go from like town to town and fight enemies, but you don't necessarily level up with experience, but you do get like new items that you can use, new magic and stuff. Well, sort of magic, I don't know, play the game yourselves. But a very funny game, lots of like humorous dialogue in here that really stuck with me. But definitely the biggest thing to like mention is the controls, because it's one of those games that you can only move in 4 directions, but you can only move diagonal. And I've played games like that before, and they infuriate the fuck out of me. I remember popping this in thinking, oh fuck, it plays like this. But somehow I got used to it, and I actually really, really dug it. And when you can like, if there's a game that has like a really big turn off for me, like something that I perceive to be like a big flaw, but it pulls itself back from that with its good points, I tend to just like see it, just to love it in spite of its bad points, you know? And that is really the case with this one, you know? Landstalker, Shinya Nishigaki, may you rest in peace, your games are still awesome, so yeah. Landstalker, number 15. Okay. And number 16, sorry, now we're going to number 15. Number 15, a really fucking weird one, this one, but one that I just adore to death. Decap Attack. You play as a mummy with a disembodied head, but he froze his head, and but he's also got like another head in his body which comes out and attacks enemies. He gets like, he has like this weird hover ability. It feels like the programmers forgot to like fix it, where you can kind of like jump indefinitely. The actual like theme and setting of the game is so Halloween, so spooky almost. Amazing music. Seriously, look up the main theme for Decap Attack. It's unbelievable. It really is. I did Let's Play this game if you're curious, and I apologise for all the times I shout decapitation, because I just played like Brutal Legend at the time, and obviously he gets his head thrown off, so I was like, yeah, whatever. But yeah, wonderful game, one that I am very fond of. Was very heavily localised outside of Japan. In fact, the Japanese version is completely different. It just happens to control the same, that really is it. But I would like to play that, really, now that I think about it. But yeah, Decap Attack, just another very, very unique 2D platformer that I really adore on the Mega Drive. So yeah, number 15, Decap Attack. Right, number 14, here we go. Number 14, right. I feel like this one should be higher. You know, I was talking about Quackshot earlier, how I almost have like a love-hate relationship. Well, the love-hate it wasn't really a love-hate relationship. This is a love-hate relationship. Comic Zone. This game has so much stuff that I adore, okay? It has a wonderful concept, you know, you play as like a fucking comic book artist who gets sucked into his own comic book, and the whole levels are comics, and they're non-linear because you can choose what panels to go down. There's an element of like, elements of beat-em-ups, puzzle solving. Just like, it's got so much style. The music and the graphics are amazing. This was one of these like late in its lifespan Mega Drive games that really took advantage of the hardware. There's quite a few of those, honestly. And yeah, it's one of those like really big fan favourites that gets talked about a lot. but it's also frustrating and difficult as fuck. I've never beaten this game, okay? And I remember spending like a week, some sort of like amount of time like that, constantly like playing it on my Mega Drive, thinking I'll get a little bit further this time. Okay, I can do it this time. I just need to save this item until this bit. It's so hard, okay? And I've never once done it. It's infuriating. But I look at this fucking game and I just say to myself, Donald, you can't do a top 20 Mega Drive games and not include Comic Zone. You just can't. The game just has that much of an impact on you, doesn't it? And it does. So, yeah. Comic Zone. Lucky number 13. Actually, no, it's not 13, it's 14. I keep messing up my numbers. Fuck's sake, no. Anyway. Comic Zone! Is it 14? I've completely fucking lost track here. Okay, no. This is 13. This is 13. Okay. Next up we have now... I'm not the biggest fan of like 2D shooters, you know? I say that with the knowledge that there's like hundreds of them, right? There are so many 2D shooters out there that I've never played, okay? And I would like to try and like play more, especially some of the like really super memorable ones, but I've just not had that chance to do so yet, honestly. But there was one on the Mega Drive that I just came across, and I liked it enough that I wanted to put it this high on the list. And sure enough, there may be games out there, 2D shooters, that are like miles better than this, and I just don't know it yet. But as it stands, this game really impressed me. Arrow Flash, sorry, not Flash Arrow. Yeah, this is just like I said, a 2D shooter. You collect power-ups as you go through it. You can use these things called like, well, arrow flashes, I guess they are, which either makes your ship into this super flaming ball thing or gives you a really powerful laser, depending on what you choose in the options menu. It's kind of weird. Yeah, there's really not too much to it, but it's just executed like wonderfully. The music and the graphics are really good. I really like the bosses, and it's just really fun, right? Like one moment that really stuck out to me was when I was playing like the very first level, You're sort of like going across the sky. There's all this scrolling. Looks really nice for like a Mega Drive game, and then a ship, like a big mothership looking thing, crashes into the sea in the background, and it's like, oh, Jesus. But then the level continues with this big thing in the background, and as you start to fight, little lights on the ship actually light up in the distance with varying degrees, and it's just a beautiful 16-bit painting. You know, I'm like, that is awesome, that. And there are bits like that throughout the game, and yeah, I really like the sort of anime opening that it's got too. I'm just really impressed by this game, okay? It's just one of those things, and I'm holding it upside down, fuck's sake, Donald. Again, there's probably better ones, but for now, this is my favourite, so yeah, Arrow Flash. I fucking love it. And this was a game that I didn't pick up around the same time as Arrow Flash, but I did sort of play around the same time. I don't know. I think at the time I was just trying to like discover more Mega Drive games, and I played these back to back, and I kind of can't think of one without thinking of the other, but I think this one is a bit better. Ranger X. This is also sort of like a 2D shooting game, but there's a bit more of a unique twist in that, you know, the levels are open, you can go back and forth, and the levels usually consist of like taking down a certain number of enemies to advance and stuff. And you also have like this other dog. It's another robot that follows you around, and you can actually like morph into it. Like, I don't know, and you basically have like another vehicle essentially. And yeah, it's again, just really, really nice graphics, really nice music, and really memorable gameplay, you know? Some really nice 3D sections, looking at these screenshots actually, I remember that. And some of the bosses are just really cool, and yeah, it's just a mech game, you know? Again, maybe it is, there's more to it than like Arrow Flash, but more in a weird sense that I don't necessarily have too much to say other than that it was just a really good Mega Drive game, okay? Yeah, I really recommend you try Ranger X and Arrow Flash, because I don't hear those ones really talked about that much, you know? I mean, the rest of my games are definitely some kind of A-listers that you can probably expect. I kind of want it to be a bit more original in that sense, but fuck it. Let's go on, shall we? Number 11. Now, number 11 is not this. Wonder Boy in Monster World. Did I say that right? Yes, I did. The titles of these games are so confusing. But yeah, I've put this up here. This is a really good game, you know. I enjoyed it. It's the Wonder Boy games, at least the ones that are sort of like the main ones, are kind of like Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, but done right. They're these sort of like semi-RPGs, kind of like Landstalker as well, actually, where you just like explore a 2D world, do dungeons, get new items and stuff, collect money, and yeah, it's great shit. It's amazing. But this one didn't wow me too much. But the one that did wow me was Monster World. Is it Monster World 4? The names of these games are so confusing, right? I'll put the fucking picture up here. The one with a lassie, okay? The one with a lassie. You can play this game like legally. You can download it on the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and I think you could actually buy it on the Wii Virtual Console at the time as well. Obviously, I don't know if you can get it like in any current versions or anything. But that one definitely is Monster World 4, okay, where you play as the lassie. That one just had, again, the best musics, the best story, the best, like, set-piece moments. It was just, I've still not played Dragon's Trap. I think that one had yeah, this one. They got, like, the remake on the PS4. This is the only one main series Wonder Boy game I've yet to play, but it's a Master System game anyway, so I don't know why I'm even bringing it up. But as far as the Mega Drive goes, this one's good, but the fourth one, the one with the lassie, is way better. And the reason I keep like pointing out the one with the lassie is because every NPC in the game loved to point out that this game starred a lassie. I don't know why, it was a weird thing, but whatever. Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy.